You guys let me know. Okay, great. So can you guys see my screen? The PPT screen? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Oops, I think it's showing me the other. All right. Oops. I think now we are fine, right? Just check. Okay. Yeah, great. Now we are all okay. So, thank you for today's class. Okay. Thank you for attending. We'll be talking more on cost, time, resource management in BIM. What is the importance of cost, time, and resource management using BIM? What are the different tools that we use? And what is this whole thing about cost, time, and resource management? Why is it so important? Right. So, just let me give you a brief about myself. My name is Prasad Deosarkar. You can find me on LinkedIn with the same name. I studied civil engineering. Okay. After civil engineering, I completed my post graduation in construction management from NICMAR Pune. And right after my construction management, I joined a startup firm in my hometown, Nagpur. Its name was Structures Private Limited. So, where we got an opportunity to work on various different kinds of infrastructure projects, residential projects, commercial projects in Singapore as well as in Dubai. So, I was the lead coordinator back then. And then I fortunately got a chance to come to Singapore after a couple of years of working in tech. I joined a company called BIMage Consulting. Uh, at BIMage, my role was preliminarily into trainings, into consulting, and as well as handling some projects for them here in Singapore. So I handled wastewater treatment plant projects. I handled residential projects. I handled some infrastructure related trainings as well for them. After which I decided to move to MNC called Jacobs, which most of you might have heard of. At Jacobs, also, I was stationed at a water treatment facility project. The special part about this project was that this was not one of the softwares that you generally would use on projects. This was a very niche software that we were using. It was on Bentley platform, right? And then I've transitioned since then to a more of a business development kind of a role, a project management related role, where I lead the BIM department for Activate IT Solutions Private Limited. We are a BIM consultancy firm based out of Singapore, and we help our clients, with all the BIM delivery for their projects, as well as supporting them with the right BIM manpower that is needed for their projects. So that is just a brief background about myself. I am also a lead mentor with Novatr. These are some of the projects that I have worked on, some of my iconic projects. So I've worked on the Jewel at Changi Airport. If you happen to visit Singapore, there is this shopping mall which is just outside the Singapore airport where you can stay during your layover time and you can have some fun time there, right? You have a vortex drop waterfall feature inside. They have created a rainforest kind of a theme where you can walk around. They've created a canopy park on top. So it's a very nice place to hang around. And I'm proud to say that I was involved in the construction phase of this project. Right. So we were supporting the contractor with the BIM delivery. A lot of sheets were produced, a lot of BIM models were created during this project. Right. Another project that I've worked on was the Dubai Expo 2020. So Dubai Expo was an exhibition. It's an international exhibition space in Dubai where if you look at the picture that is shown here, there's you can see like the three petals of a flower. So those were all based on some theme. One was for opportunity theme, one was a mobility theme, and one for sustainability. So all the countries used to have their were supposed to have their booths there based on the theme of the exhibition. And then we did all the underground utilities, the roads, the superstructures for this project. All on BIM. Another project that I like to talk about is the BIA headquarters in Sharjah. So most of you might have heard about Indian Green Building Council. So similarly, how we have Indian Green Building Council, we have something called as BIA, and that's the Green Building Council for the UAE. So this is their headquarters located in Sharjah by one of the most iconic architects, Zaha Hadid architects. So in the roof that you see out there, there are around 1,500 light boxes to emit. the sunlight at various different angles at very different time to not heat the environment inside. And this was way back in 2016. So at that time, we did not have programming language, we did not have automation as such with BIM. So what we used to do was cut all these boxes one by one, by modeling. So that is where I started my journey with, reinforce my strength in the software. And then I've also been a part of one of the largest water treatment facilities in Singapore. Uh, the fun fact about Singapore is that Singapore recycles all of the water and pumps it back to the city for everyone to use. Uh, Most of the water here in Singapore is potable, which means you can open any tap and drink, and you won't have anything. Okay, you won't have any issue with it. And then this particular treatment plant is still under construction, and it caters to two-thirds of Singapore's water demand. So there is as good as 17 contractors working on the same site right now. So the project is still ongoing. It's going to finish around 2028 and 2029. So I was handling multiple contractors here from the consultant end, and the major complexity of this project was that it was on Bentley, which none of the people knew at that time on how to use, how to create different sheets, how to create different elements, and that was more of my knowledge that was gained out here on this particular project. So yeah, talking about our masterclass today, what are we going to learn? Okay, why are you guys here for? Okay, I've divided my session into five different portions. Okay, so I'm going to start off with why do we actually want to know about cost, time, resource management? So what is the importance of all of this in the modern construction, right? Because why do we want to even study about project management or even managing cost, time, and resources for a project? We'll be understanding what is 4D, what is 5D with respect to BIM. And we'll look at some tools that are used for creation of these kind of simulations, these particular technologies. And then we will also look at one of the case study that I've picked out from the internet. And I'll be giving you some implementation best practices. So if you're someone who is new to BIM itself, right? If you are someone who's new to BIM, then you should definitely want to go and read something about it, because this class I'd be talking something beyond BIM, okay, something beyond modeling, right? So traditional construction, I'll be covering that as well, and then I'll be moving on to what's next, okay, and where does BIM end and where does project management take over, right? So far everyone okay on the content side of it? So far everyone fine? Can I get a few yeses in the chat? Okay, great. All good. So far, am I audible? Am I clear? Am I being too fast? Am I being too slow? Just let me know. Yeah, because I want it to be very interactive. I hope that you are able to hear me properly. Okay, thank you so much. So for people who can't hear me properly, you might want to turn on your volume a bit, because most of the people can hear. So I'll go with the majority. Right. So first things first, what are the challenges in traditional construction? Okay, or traditional construction methods. What are the different challenges? When do we call a project as a successful project, or when do we call a project as something that you made money on or you made profits on? Is basically looking at only three different aspects. How did you manage your time? How did you manage your cost? And how did you manage your resources? Right? Cost management, time management, and resource management is something that every business thrives on. Okay, every business that is profitable has these three things in control. Okay, and this is the essence of project management on a very high level, or very in very layman term, right? If you are able to manage these three, you are sure shot guaranteeing yourself a project success, right? So what are the current challenges that this industry, our construction industry, has? Is that uh, cost overruns and delays are extremely common. So we all, coming from this kind of a background, might have been involved in one of our projects, or most of the projects that we are involved in, and often overrun, right? Either there's no budget left by the end of the project, or you are so much delayed that you have to, at the end of the day, cancel the contract, or move on from one project without finishing it. So we all have seen such projects in our life. We all see it in our vicinity, right? Maybe you are a resident living in a residential bungalow, and then there is construction going on beside you for years, right, which is still not finished. So this is also another common problem, right? So we all face it on a regular basis, that the construction keeps going on. Or if you even are traveling throughout a metro city, you'll see that the metros are just being built. 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, it just keeps on building, and there's no never ending problem. So this is a very common problem in our industry. But gladly, we are trying to recognize the problems, and we are trying to work out solutions that would help to mitigate these problems, and we are trying to narrow down the curve. Okay. So what curve am I talking about? The curve that I'm talking about is the time delay and the cost delay, which keeps on going up and up and up. So okay, so if, let's say, you were to plot this graph, your lean graph, or your correct graph, or your successful project would look like an inverted C shape. Okay. But if you were to look at a graph that is typically found in construction projects, you would be finding a vertically rising C shape, right? So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it much more leaner, much more smoother, as we progress in project management. Now, studies show that nearly 70% of large scale construction projects suffer from cost overruns, and delays average around 20% of the planned duration, right? So this is a fact that is available on the internet. There are multiple theories, multiple papers being published behind this study, that most of the projects are, there's a cost overrun. Okay. You end up spending more than what you should have at your beginning. What you estimated is not what you are actually spending, right? It is a major issue, leading to loss of labor, loss of livelihood, loss of jobs, loss of time. All of these things attribute to these particular issues. Okay. Now, what are the main reasons, if we were to pinpoint one by one of these particular delays and these particular cost overruns? First one will be the fragmented workflows. Okay. What I mean by fragmented workflows is everyone works in their own way, with their own team, in their own manner. Okay. So if I am someone joining a project as, let's say, a architectural coordinator, so I'm going to look at only the architectural stuff. I don't care what structure, or I don't care what the MEP guys are doing. That's how, unfortunately, most of the people in the industry work, right? So the architectural coordinator is only concerned about performing for his particular discipline. He is not bothered about what other disciplines are going through. Similar goes for a plumbing guy. Similarly goes for a sanitation or a sanitary pipe fitting guy, or someone who's going to install the HVAC ducts in your building. So they are only concerned about what they have to do, and they don't care about what's going on with the other disciplines. So that is the reason number one, that there's fragmented approach, or fragmented workflows in construction, right? Secondly, you have poor visibility of the resources. At any given point of time, we actually don't know how many people are involved in the project, how many people are actually doing the project, how many machines are actually working at the same time. If, let's say, I want to turn up my pace, or I want to I did, let's say, 10 stories in 10 months for a residential building, and I only have like 6 months left, and I have another 10 stories to cover for a 20-story building. So I would have to catch up the progress. So I would have to increase my resources on a few tasks. I would have to increase my resources on on a few items which are critical. But unfortunately, there's no visibility there. You can't actually gauge until it's too late, that until you realize that you have spent a lot of money, you're already running late. So at that time, it becomes even crucial. Every second counts at that matter, when you are actually at that stage in your project. Late detection of conflicts, like I just spoke about. The more delay you do in project management, the more time you take to take a decision, the higher your vulnerability to cost overruns and time overruns, right? And then you need to have, generally in projects, we will always see that there is a reactive decision making than a proactive decision making, or a proactive planning. What I mean by this is that whenever things go downhill, is the time when people start to realize, okay, I need to take certain steps. Okay. Whenever there is a delay and then you get scolded by someone, that is the time you take action. right? So that is not the right approach in construction. That should not be the right approach in construction as well, which is why now we are actually trying to rely more on technology, trying to rely more on digital means in which we can make the whole process much more smoother, much more leaner, right? Which is where BIM plays a very, very important role, okay, in efficiency. Now, I'm not talking about BIM where it's only a 3D model, okay? Anyone can make a 3D model tomorrow. You can use AutoCAD to make a 3D model, okay? But i- visualization is not everything, right? Visualization can only take you to certain extent where you can probably, detect some clashes that you were supposed to detect on site. Yes, it is important, but how much more can you make use of the BIM model is why we are here today. Okay. Now, BIM can integrate design, okay, which we already know. You can create 3D models based on the design. Architect tells you, okay, Prasad, I have an idea. I want to create a shopping mall in a desert that is 30 stories tall. And every floor is dedicated to some other, you'll dedicate one floor for one store. So, okay, this is the design idea. Okay, I got from the architect. What I'm going to do, I'm going to, try to draft out a plan, try to draft out an elevation. Okay, I'm talking about traditional approach. Then I'm going to connect with BIM modeling, BIM modeler, and then he'll be able to create certain kind of BIM models. Okay, this is the design aspect of it. Now, okay, good. I have the BIM model with me. Now comes the fun part where you can actually integrate scheduling, you can integrate cost and resource data in a single environment. Okay. So what happens now is apart from the 3D model, you can also integrate the timeline. You can also integrate the cost. You can also integrate the resources together with this visualized BIM model. Now that is something that is very helpful. Okay, you remember when we had earlier days 1980s, you might have heard people used to hand draw or hand sketch all the drawings needed for construction. So there used to be like a big drafting board, and you must have all seen that picture where of the persons are the architects are all with their scales in hand and they are drawing all of that, right? So when people moved on from that to AutoCAD environment, people thought, wow, this is like the best thing that happened to the industry. And then suddenly people started to love AutoCAD. They still do. And then you would draft very quickly, and then you would go to site very quickly, do up your construction much fast. So construction time got narrowed down. Okay, construction costs also narrowed down even back then. Okay, then came BIM. Okay, where you introduce 3D modeling. Okay, great. So now I can visualize the whole process. Okay, now I can, the studio drawing can be converted into a model. So it's easier for me to visualize, as if it was not easier before. A wall would look like a wall to someone who has drawn a wall, right? But still, okay, I'll give BIM the credit. Okay, BIM model comes up, you are able to see the wall, you are able to click, see its properties, you are able to detect clashes before it's done on site. Perfect. Okay. Now we have all ridden on this BIM wave. Okay. But okay, and after a point of time, visualization can only take you so much. Okay. The information with the BIM models can only take you so like this far. What next? Okay. So what next is the next dimension that we are talking about. So we went from 2D, we went to 3D. Now we are going to something called as 4D. Okay. So 4D is something that where we link our BIM models to a particular schedule. I'm going to talk about 4D, 5D in much depth later on, but I'm just giving you a gist. So now there are tools, there are software where you can actually integrate your BIM model elements to schedule. Okay, so how many of you know what a construction schedule is? Are you guys aware of what a construction schedule is? Can I get a few yeses? Okay, quite a lot of you are aware of what construction schedules are. For the people who don't know what a construction schedule is, it is basically nothing but a activity sheet. Okay. Today I'm going to do piling. 3 days later, I'm going to do level one. 4 days later, I'm going to do level two. After 6 days, I'm going to do level two, level three, level four, level five until the roof. And after that, I'm going to do my landscaping. And that's how I'm going to finish my project. So if you just pen this down one by one, and just keep a date and give like a start date, a end date, and a duration to that particular activity, that's called project planning. Okay, project planning or scheduling. Okay, so you have MS Project, you have Primavera, all of these things are the same thing. Okay, that is called a project schedule or a project planning tool, right? So what BIM does now is that it integrates the BIM model together with the schedule. You could integrate BIM model with the cost. You can also integrate it with the resource data. So now what happens by using this, by doing this, is that instead of working in their different silos, it brings everyone together. It can show everyone the same picture. All right. So BIM provides a data driven collaborative platform that enables real time visibility and control. So not only does it show you the entire BIM model together in one go, but it also helps to connect all of the different stakeholders, all of the different teams involved in the project to actually visualize the progress of the project. Okay, not only the project as a whole, but also the project progress that you are starting off at what date, you are ending at what date, how will this entire process look like. That is what we are talking about now. Now, with BIM, you can also simulate project timelines, you can optimize resources, you can forecast costs long before the construction begins. Like I just said, you can integrate the model now with your time, cost, and your resources. Now, which brings me to my next topic. What is exactly this 4D, 5D resource planning that I have been talking about, right? So, 4D is nothing but the fourth dimension that we are talking about of BIM. So, 3D we already know. 3D is the BIM model. Now, when we talk about 4D, we are trying to talk about linking this BIM model together with a schedule. Okay, it allows us to simulate construction sequencing and track project progress, just like if people you have used Primavera or you have used Microsoft Project before, you are able to see bar charts, you are able to see Gantt charts that will give you a very visual way of looking at project progress. You can do a planned versus actual kind of a graph and see if you are ahead of the schedule or behind the schedule, right? But at the same time, you can also visualize it using the BIM model. Okay, so if you are not someone who's from the project management background, but you just started on that particular journey, it becomes very difficult for someone to just read through an Excel sheet, read about the activities, and then look at the Gantt chart and then memorize or realize that there is a delay. Rather than that, if you could actually have that possibility of showing it through a BIM model, that would be really great, right? So that is what 4D does. So 4D helps you to integrate your BIM model together with the time aspect of construction. Okay. Now, the whole thing here is to reduce the time, is to shorten the time. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying that if I do a 4D, everything will be, good. And 4D should be implemented on all projects. That will make the timeline slow. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it can be a great tool to help you track the progress, and then you can take much more better informed decisions that you are taking now. People still have Primavera, people still have the BIM model. They can still do it side by side. Okay. But if there are platforms, which I'm going to talk about later, available in the market right now, which you guys should learn, okay, you become an asset to the company who also knows about tracking the project progress, who also knows how to control the BIM model, right? So that is nothing but 4D BIM. Now, when we talk about 5D BIM, what is 5D now? So similarly, when we link the time, we can also link the cost aspect of it. So when we link the 3D model to time and then we link it to the cost, it connects the quantities and elements to the cost databases, giving us an accurate forecasting for cost monitoring. So what is the meaning of 5D BIM now? Okay, so now I've integrated it with the timeline. Now, where does cost come into picture is when we are talking about quantity takeoffs, when we are talking about the quantities that you have to order, that you have to purchase, that are delivered to site and then are being utilized on site. Okay, all of that can also be tracked now with the use of BIM. Okay, with the use of 5D BIM software. Okay, so you can generate quantities based on the timeline. For example, let's say I was supposed to cast a slab in next 2 months. Okay, I'm supposed to cast, let's say, 30 slabs in next 2 months. Example. Okay. So how much of concrete should I be ordering for that? Okay. How much of rebar will I be needing for that slab? Okay, I can actually generate that quantity right from the BIM model ahead of the schedule. Okay, so when we talk about ahead of the schedule, uh, let's say 2 months down the line, you are supposed to cast 30 slabs. Okay, you can actually do a quantity takeoff now, where you can actually generate the quantity and order the concrete for, you can do a cost forecasting of what will be your budget or what will be your outflow 2 months down the line. Similarly, you can do 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line. The entire project can be analyzed in this way. So at any given time, you can also do a simulation between what was supposed to be spent versus what has been spent on a project. Okay, so if you were initially in during a design, you would plan, right? Initially, when you take up a project, you would plan, okay, 6 months down the line, I must have so and so rebar with me. I must have, so many ready mix concrete trucks ready for my casting to be progressively done. But then due to XYZ factors, maybe there's another COVID, maybe there's too high rainfall, there's floods, which these are like natural calamities which you cannot avoid. Okay, which then drags your progress. So now, since you're away from the starting line, okay, you're not on par with your construction program. Now what you're actually doing is, since okay, there's rain, no, there cannot be any construction work going on, but you still need to pay the people who have come to site, right? So that is a part of your outflow. You still need to pay for the machine that you have rented. You still need to pay for electricity to keep the site office running, right? You don't give everyone off when it's just raining on site for 5 days, right? So these are just very, very typical examples where your cost is bound to overrun. Okay, now, what do you do with this kind of information? You actually key it in your particular BIM model in a way of a parameter, or you could also key it in a form of a quantity. So at any given time, we have different kinds of cost setups. We could do a lot of different cost analysis at any given point in time in the project to make the project much more leaner, much more smoother. At the end of the day, all our goal is to reduce the time and cost involved for a construction project. Now, what do we call resource based planning or resource based BIM? We could add manpower, materials, and equipment allocation. We can do this to particular BIM elements. All right. This ensures that your schedule isn't just timeline; it is tied to real world resources. Right. So we can actually tag the number of people, tag the number of machinery, tag the number of cameras, all of it to physical elements or to the BIM elements, right? Which then also give you an idea, okay, so for that instance, 6 months down the line, I'm supposed to have that much of cost in the bank, that much of cost that I've spent, and that much of timeline that I've achieved. And I can also visualize at the same time of how much resources I've used up, how much money I've spent on the resources. Do I need more resources to cover up for the time and cost that has been delayed? All of that can be visualized using different tools and softwares. So of course, there's not like one platform that can do it all. There are different platforms, there's different tools that help you to do different things. Okay, so you cannot use the same platform that you're using for 4D for 5D also. Of course, there are certain things that help you do it together. And then of course you cannot manage your resources using the same software as what you're using the 4D 5D or the 3D for. So coming to my next topic, which is what are the different tools that I use for 4D, 5D, and resource planning, right? So most commonly used tools, right, are Navisworks, Fusor, Synchro. All of these are majorly used software. Bexel Manager. All of these software I use for 4D and 5D, right? I2 Costex is a very famous software which people use for 5D or quantity takeoffs or for cost estimation and cost analysis using the 3D BIM model. Autodesk Construction Cloud is, of course, one of the most famous software used for resource management, RFI submittals, RFA requests for acquisition, for approvals, requests for information. You can use Autodesk Construction Cloud to create issues, track your resources for, in general, the entire resource management and document management for a construction project. You can also use a software called Novate. Okay, Novate is a very powerful tool that your site team can use to track all the resources for a particular project, right? So let's take a look at all of these tools one by one, okay? And how we can do a simulation, or how we can do a quantity takeoff using a few of these tools. So what I've done now, going ahead, is I've taken some short videos from YouTube, which are available on YouTube, of course. You can try to go and check, these courses in depth as well. Okay, YouTube has a lot of tons of courses dedicated to all of these software, and you can just maybe try to attend a particular course, try to download a free version of these softwares that are available online, and try to play around with it. Try to see if you are able to use it on a few of your smaller scale projects, and then try to move on from there, right? So when we talk about 4D and 5D using Navisworks, uh, typically now what you see on the screen is a construction program or a schedule that I had just spoken about. So let me just continue playing. So this is a video that is captured out of Microsoft project, where you see all the activities there. You see your Gantt chart. All of us were talking about it just now, right? So apart from the activities, you also have your start dates, your end dates, you have your task type. Okay, so one thing that it is not as simple as it looks. Uh, what your construction schedule and your BIM model and linking it together. It's not that simple. You need a bridge. Okay. So because okay, Microsoft Project is a different application, Primavera is a different application, Revit and Civil 3D and Navisworks, all of these are all different BIM application software. But there has to be a bridge that connects both of these. So that bridge can be in the form of a text, in the form of a number, in the form of a parameter. So, okay, identify one parameter on this software, identify one parameter on this software. Let's link them both together using this parameter. Okay. So this is how these things work. This is how 4D simulations work. This is how 5D quantity takeoffs work. So what you see here, the task type that they have defined in the particular construction program is the particular thing that is going to be linked with my particular BIM model. All right. So when we talk about the Vim atmosphere, this is how Navisworks looks like. It has something called a timeliner, and inside the timeliner, we can actually create the simulation. So just like how we saw the schedule on Microsoft Project, we can see the same schedule being created on the BIM software now. Okay. Now, how do you create the same exact same schedule on the BIM software? You need to link it. So you need to link it with text. Need to link the dates. Like you can see on the screen, you can link a planned start, a planned end, a finish, and then once you click OK, you can just need to rebuild the tasks, and then what you will see on the screen now is going to be the same exact schedule that you were seeing on Microsoft project. Now you can see it on your particular BIM software. Okay, so once you have basically seen, like you have imported the schedule, okay, you can also do a plan versus actual comparison on the BIM software itself, where it will show you two different Gantt charts based on the dates. Okay, like you see on the screen. And then from there on, you would also be linking each of these particular activities to the BIM elements or the BIM models. Okay, so now you see that you have created the configuration, you have created all the tasks. Now, this is something called as sets, where you will create sets, you will link all the sets to the particular schedule, and then you will at the end run the simulation. Okay, so don't get very lost with all the terminologies that I'm using. This is just how Navisworks runs the 4D simulation. Okay, so now you see that your timeline, you can see on the top, what is the date, what is the time, what is the day number, the week number of the project, what is the activity, and what is the progress of the activity. So currently the basement level construction is at 79%, furniture construction is 14%, basement one structural framing construction is at 50%, right? So what you see on the screen, right, is something that in a visual way they are telling you a story of how your construction project is going to evolve. Okay, so you are going to start off with the foundation, you're going to start off with the level 1, you're going to start off with level 2, level 3. This is where you can actually, this is your BIM model that you actually created using Revit or using any software. Okay, Now you have linked it to the particular schedule that we saw in Microsoft project. And then you can actually show it in the form of a video that you are actually seeing on the screen. So you see green, then it becomes solid. Then green means there's some work going on here. Green means some work going on here. And then slowly, you see different parts of the project that are being worked on, the different objects that are being constructed. And then you can also create an animation. Okay. You can create a fly through of the whole thing, and then you can export it in the form of a video, right? So one use case of such kind of 4D simulation is that I have used personally for a lot of projects is I would run a simulation on all the planned dates. Okay, when we talk about planned dates, this is the dates that we actually are planning at the start of the project. I will just run a simulation like this on those particular dates. And then at every 3 months duration, whatever is constructed, I'm going to input that particular date as an actual date. So for people who are from the construction management background, will understand the difference between planned versus actual, right? So I'm going to key in all these actual dates and I'm going to run another simulation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these simulations side by side. So if I were to just pause the video at 1 second, I would be able to see, okay, today's date is, let's say, today's date is 25th of August. So on 25th of August at 9 o'clock, what is the progress on site? What was it supposed to be? And what is it right now? Okay. So now when we talk about the planned versus actual, I'm going to visualize where are all my delay positions, where is my construction project being delayed, okay, where am I actually which particular area of the project needs my intervention or the project management's intervention, right? In one glance I'll be able to see which particular area or which particular activity is taking a lot of time, right? So for example, I was supposed there's a huge construction site and the casting of the slab is going to take up in particular sections or zones. And then my plan was to do the whole 6 zones in 6 weeks. But now I'm already on the fifth week and I've only done one zone. Okay. Which means that I'm taking a lot of time on zone one, which will then enable me to take a decision on asking why this particular zone has a lot of work going on, right? Next question is, what are the different resources that are currently being put on this particular zone, right? Then if the resources are not enough, how much more resources should I pump in, okay, to make the project go back on track? Maybe I'll run another simulation for 2 months by increasing the resources. I'll double the resources and I'll try to run another simulation. And what happens after I run the simulation after 2 months is maybe I'll see there's less duration now. Okay, less gap between both the simulations. So now I'm only what I had planned for was 6 weeks, 6 zones. Now I am down to 5.5 weeks and 4 zones after doubling down on my resources. So that's going to inform me again that okay, I am covering up for all the lost time. At this pace, I'm going to reach where I had initially planned, right? So this is something that 4D helps us to do. It helps us take informed decisions. So far, everyone with me, are you guys able to understand the whole process? Did you guys see what happened in the video? Could you relate to it? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, when we talk about Synchro is a much more widely used platform right now, is because of the particular things that it gives, which are much more additional than Navisworks. Navisworks is a very great platform for a lot of different things, but it is also when we talk about 4D, there are much better platforms now that are available that can show you a much better visual or a much better visualization of the construction progress than Navisworks. That is why I would also want to show you a video on Synchro. So this is how you look at construction progress in Synchro. You could actually simulate it together with your Gantt charts, with your bar charts, and you could also show activities at the same time. You could show a timeline at the same time. You could show movements of cranes, movement of vehicles. You could show the area surrounding map. You can show the construction methodology, if it's going to be constructed from left to right, right to left, all of these things. So now what happened is that we are actually going to the next phase, which is micro scheduling. It is something called as micro scheduling, where you break down an entire activity into smaller chunks. Casting of slab is one activity. So if I am going to break this down into even more smaller activity, what we can do is we can show it on which particular zone the slab is going to be casted. Okay, which area is the casting going to start from, where is it going to end? That is called micro scheduling. Okay, so this is where synchro comes into picture. We have another platform called Fusor, which is even more beautiful than synchro. But again, the more the aesthetics of the video, the more aesthetics that we bother about, the more time it takes to create such simulations. Okay, Navisworks is a great platform to create normal simulations that I just showed you before. Synchro is another platform that you can use to link your BIM model with the schedule, can show bar charts, Gantt charts together, and export this whole thing as a video. Okay, so if I was a project manager, I would prefer to see this rather than just text coming up on my video, right? So if I were to create one simulation on the planned dates, one simulation on the actual dates, I would be able to see something like this, right? When we talk about 5D BIM, when we talk about Costex, Costex is another great platform that you use for quantity takeoff, for generating schedules, generating cost reports from the software itself. It is made by a company called I2, okay, currently called RIB, right? So it has various different modules. It can be used by quantity surveyors, it can be used by builders, subcontractors, it can be used by estimators. So most of the project management related people will be able to use. It can do cost plans, bill of quantities, quotations straight from the BIM model. You can also use Costex on your 2D drawings. Okay, so you can generate quantities from 2D drawings also. That is another huge advantage that Costex has over other different software. So like you see, this is how Costex looks like. If you click on the particular element, it will be able to show you the entire quantity that's associated. You can do measurements, you can scale the measurements, and then you can generate the whole quantity in one go. Okay. Although this thing is manual, you can still do it in PDF, but then you have a software specifically designed to do it. It's much more easier. Okay. You can generate areas by clicking on different areas of the building, you know and then you can also generate volumes, you can generate lengths, you know and then you can export that particular area, you can duplicate that, you can mirror it like you see on the screen. You can choose different height offsets to generate volumes. All of these things are possible using Costex. So the important feature is you can also, like you see on the screen, you can create formulas as well. You can segregate different portions of the project based on different roles, different resources, different colors. And one more application of such kind of products is that uh, you can use it for as built verification. So for people who have worked on construction sites, will know that whenever you have different subcontractors working with you, for example, one of the subcontractors working with you is responsible for doing the landscaping. Okay, and he comes to you and tells you one day that he was supposed to finish the landscaping 2 months later, but he's finished it, and he's claiming for, let's say, $1 million. Okay, for landscaping of the entire area of the project 2 months before it finished. So what is the best way to actually judge if that has been done or not? If he has a BIM team and they have actually updated the as built status inside the BIM model, I could actually filter out what are all the as built elements from the particular site, and I could generate a quantity for all the as built elements in one go. And I'm going to verify this particular quantity with the quantity that the subcontractor is claiming for. Okay, if those quantities match, or if there's a slight deviation, I would ask him, and then if the quantities match, I would end up paying him. Okay, if the quantities don't match, I would be again in a better position to take a response, or take a call whether to pay or not to pay. So this is another use case of Costex, a use case of where we could use quantities for as built verification. So like you see on the screen now, you could hide, you could isolate, you could measure, you could see, you can take off, or you can take out all the doors, windows, floors from the BIM model. segregate it out, create an Excel sheet out of it, create sections, you know, export all of these drawings, export all of the quantities out in different formats, right? So this Costex is something that is typically used by quantity surveyors. Uh, it is typically used by estimators. It is used by your cost controllers at site, your procurement division. All of these people would be using Costex for their own particular use, right? So again, another very important portion is that it is linking the 3D BIM model together with quantities, together with parameters that you have keyed in inside the BIM model. Okay, it doesn't just automatically come up, right? So when you have a door inside a BIM model, that will be categorized as a door. The quantities that are associated with the family of the door is what we will be seeing out here in the schedule generated by Costex. So if there is something like, you want to tell the price of the door. Price is something that is not coming with a family. You have to actually manually go and key in the price of the door. So you can generate the cost for all the doors in the project. Then we come to another platform, which is Novate, used for resource management. So let's take a look at the video. So it is one of the construction management software which is widely used by contractors nowadays. In Singapore, where I'm working right now, is also this is one of the most commonly used platforms. Right? You can track progress using Novate. You can manage your workforce activities. You can do their induction, attendance, timesheets, all via one particular app. Okay, Novate is wonderful when you are actually building certain things and you are actually carrying particular tablets or phones to site that will enable you to give real time information to all the project management team. Okay, so Novate helps to do that. Novate brings field to BIM. Okay, and you keep a close eye on your machinery. You can check on its certification, location, and usage. So, what is the meaning of this? Whatever machinery you are using, you could actually keep all the data of this particular machinery or this equipment on the particular app, on the particular phone, and then you can actually pass it on to all the estimators, all the procurement guys, on all the equipment that is currently being used on site. You can track its location. You can, also track its usage using such kind of a software. You can annotate photos, create markups. You can visualize 3D models, of course, because when I started the session, I told you resource management is a part of BIM. Okay, it is done via parameters that you can actually link together with the BIM models, and then link it up to certain platforms like this, like how we saw in Navisworks, how we saw in Synchro, how we saw for Costex, and how we are seeing it now for Novate. Okay, so typically, Novate also, you can do inductions, toolbox meetings, risk assessments, permit to works, inspections, issues, photos, quality controls, snags, non-compliance reports. All of that you are able to do with flexible APIs like it shows. You can connect all of that with analytical dashboard. You can do it online, offline. You can do a two-factor authentication. You can get things, like it says, get things done faster, better, and safer, right? So Novate is a very, very wonderful construction software, construction project management software, which you can use for a lot of different stuff, right? So if you want more information, you can of course go to its platform site. They, I think, do have a trial license, if I'm not mistaken. Try it out on your small project, see how you can use it for different application, for quality control measures, for sending reports, getting feedback, creating issues, tagging particular equipment to a particular resource, tagging a resource to a particular BIM element. All of these things can be done using Novate. Right. So let's take an example of a case study now. Okay. This is something that I saw recently online as well. So online, there was a very good video posted by someone using BIM, using 4D, 5D, and resource management on a live project. Okay. And what better than the Jeddah Tower? Okay. So Jeddah Tower is going to be the tallest building in the world. So if you have not heard about it yet, go and research about it. Okay. Saudi Arabia is doing crazy stuff in construction. They're building huge scale projects. All of you must have heard about the line as well, which is under construction. So this is also going to be another iconic project once constructed. It is still ongoing. Okay, it's going to be a 1 kilometer tall building. Yeah, which is going to be around 150 meters more than Burj Khalifa, right? And it is situated in Jeddah. It is going to be the centerpiece of the economic city that's being developed. It's going to have offices, hotels, luxury residences, and observation deck. It is designed by Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill Architecture. The foundation for such a building goes 100 meters deep, right? So you can imagine the kind of project that is currently being done. So you can see what I have on the screen is a snippet from Synchro. Okay, this particular software that is used for this kind of a simulation, this is Synchro being used. So I think currently they are on the 65th or 70th floor around there, and they just happen to do a 4D simulation, and also track different various different aspects of the BIM model together in a visual way. So you can also see the floor number, you can see the height, the different kinds of uh, you know the project status, the project progress status, and the architectural works happening at which particular floors, all the different metrics, all of it together. So this is being done right now by a consultant firm for a live project. So this is where I see the full scale use of BIM being used. Okay, this is just one example. There are n number of examples where you will be using BIM. Uh, Delhi Metro, for people who are living in India, Delhi Metro is another example. The Pune Metro, all now currently it has transitioned to all the metros in India. They have made it mandatory to use BIM. Singapore uses BIM for all the projects that are more than 5,000 square meters. Okay. So until unless a government makes it mandatory, I think it is going to be still very early days for BIM in India to be used. But now I see a change. I see that most or all of the government projects BIM is mandatory. It is soon going to be reflected in private sector as well, where all of these technologies, 4D, 5D, and resource management utilities using BIM will be used. So I'm not saying that 4D, 5D, or resource management is something that you must use and you must use for all projects. Okay. But you should actually experience using this and try to get a answer for yourself if it is going to be useful for your project in the long run or not. Okay. What this is going to do is it is going to help you take a informed decision for the life cycle of the project, which brings me to my next topic, which is what are the best practices for implementation of 4D, 5D, 6D. So if we talk about a balanced project, balanced BIM, which I told you about, if we talk about a project success, we're talking about these three: time, cost, and resources, and how well we manage them. That is going to give us the success criteria for a project, right? So, what are the best practices while implementing 4D, 5D, and resource management? Start off small. Okay, I always talk about it. Don't talk about a huge scale project and you do 4D, 5D, 6D. I'm 100% sure after a month you will be very tired and you'll say, okay, I don't need it. Okay, let the project manager take care of it. Let the planning team take care of it. Okay, but try to work on a small scale project. Try to reap the benefits out from a small scale project. Try to replicate it then to different portions of a big project. Okay, until you go to a bigger scale and a whole project in one shot, right? So pick one pilot project to test the 4D 5D workflows. Are you able to better manage the timeline? Are you better able to manage the cost for the project? That is where you will get some insights. That is where you will be able to take some more better decisions, and that is going to bring your project to success. Okay, ensure integration between your scheduling, costing, and design tools. Of course, you have to make sure that all the tools that you are using are compatible with each other. Okay, don't use a software that is which you can't actually link to a schedule and then end up blaming me that Prasad said everything is well and good with 4D 5D, but it's not so. Okay, you need to choose compatible softwares, you need to choose softwares that can talk to each other. There is a bridge available for you to link both the softwares together, and that forms the integration part of the entire process. Also invest in training. tools are only as effective as the people who use them, right? So train your staff, train your people, train yourself to actually compulsively use these tools. Okay, don't just download the trial for the sake of it. Download it to actually make full use of it. Okay, because if you have all the tools in the world to help you visualize better, if you are able to take a very good decision based on the insights, but then if you're not using it, it's of no use, right? And lastly, don't forget the change management. BIM is as much about the process as about the technology. What I mean by change management is that the BIM model keeps on evolving, the model elements keep on changing. So, your 4D simulations, your costing schedules, your cost analysis, your resource allocations all will keep changing throughout the project. It's not a one time that you take, do a 4D or a resource allocation and forget about it. It's a forever changing thing that you need to keep asking yourself these questions every now and then. Set a frequency for yourself while you're working on a project and try to visualize, try to take decisions based on this particular timeline, which is eventually going to make your project succeed, right? So any questions so far? Am I Was I okay? Did everyone understand some basics about 4D 5D resource management? Was it good? Was it okay? Okay, great. I see quite a few questions. We will take up a few questions now, right? This brings me to the end of my presentation, though. I didn't want it to drag a lot of time. I didn't want to take a lot of time of yours, but I wanted to end it on this particular note about the best practices. Now, I think, Parija, if we can do we need to do the polls now, or do we need to do
Yes.
a Q&A now?
Yes. So, guys, you can keep writing your questions in the Q&A section down below so that Prasad can keep on answering your very, very interesting questions. I've been doing a little bit, but I think Prasad is the expert here who can answer these questions better and in more structured and organized manner. So please type in the Q&A. While he's answering the questions and he's interacting with you, I'm going to just launch a poll of how the session was. It will be very nice if you guys can answer this quick 2 second poll. So I'm just launching it now, and it's a very quick one. So please, please answer it. It will help us organize more of such master classes, and it will also help us understand what we need to do more in the upcoming sessions, or anything and everything that comes to your mind. It will be very nice. So and it is a very big booster as well. While that's happening, I think Prasad, you can take up few questions that's there and you can answer them live, so
Sure.
that the learners are here and they're eagerly waiting for what's up.
Right. So I'll take up the question that I just see from Vivek. Please suggest for me the best software instead of using MSP as a BIM engineer. So I think it depends what your end goal is, Vivek. Okay, if your end goal is to create a 4D simulation, even you can even go and use an Excel. Okay, Excel works as good as an MSP. Okay, but since you know about MSP, I wouldn't want you to change it. MSP is a very user-friendly software. You can use Primavera. But Primavera also links up with a lot of softwares. MSP also equally links up with most of the BIM softwares. Muqtadir Rehan has asked, can Dynamo and Synchro be linked? I think it can be linked, but we will have to check. I have not tried it yet. Maybe there is some article that's available online that could link, but I'm very sure it is possible, because at the end of the day, both are programming languages. Okay, and Synchro also has certain parameters that you can actually link it to automate the links between the tasks versus the project elements. Okay, Usman. Uh, why were we not trained? We just finished the BIM cohort. Okay, Synchro is something that we are launching. So, we could have some sessions maybe planned for you guys. Okay, somebody asked me why is everyone going with BIM? Okay, so like I said, we always need to feel the need to evolve. Okay, If you were still in the era where you were drafting drawings by hand, you would take 20 years to build a building that is currently being done in 2 years, right? That is why we are transitioning to BIM, we are transitioning to other stuff, we are transitioning to 4D, 5D, 6D, and beyond. Gitanjali is asking me which software is used in UK and Europe. Uh, UK and Europe, Bentley is pretty famous there because Bentley is pretty useful for railway infrastructure. When you're talking about BIM software, when we're talking about project management software, Synchro is something that is really picking up pace. Another, which is another platform from Bentley. Of course, Autodesk has not been able to make its own useful 4D simulation software yet. Navisworks was something that they started with, and people still use it for a simple 4D simulation. All right, I see a few more questions. Which one has demand in the future? So, Synchro, definitely, I'll say you should take up Synchro. Synchro has a lot of demand in the future. There's Fusor also, which you can learn, but Fusor comes on the expensive end of things. Even learning Fusor is a expensive deal. Okay, but once you learn it, you are someone who's very niche in the industry. So, Fusor is another software that you can learn. All right. I can see Sohail's question. All of these, which is the best software I have to use as an architect and project management, taking because I can focus only one. I'm in India working in Dar. So, if you're working as an architect, you might want to focus more on the BIM software itself. Okay. When you're talking about project management part of BIM, you can, try to learn a bit about Navisworks, Synchro, the ones that I basically spoke about. I see a few more questions. Real-time model updating when we face challenges, is it difficult? So when real-time models are being updated, the most important thing is the communication between the teams, right? So I'm taking Rishikesh's question. So you all need to know the understanding of a common data environment where all the stakeholders are actually on the same platform looking at the same model at once. So if someone changes something, that has to be communicated properly to other stakeholders. So nowadays, in all our tools, all our BIM tools, we do have live pop-ups, live alerts where something has been changed and we are no more able to use that particular link. So you have to always reload the link, reload the latest, so you're able to see the latest information. Then I'll just take random questions. Don't worry if I am not answering your question specifically. I'm just going through the list of questions that you guys have for me. Uh, some people asking me some job related questions. So I always suggest take up your job hunt as a job, do it 9 to 5, and I'm very sure you will get interview calls. Can we do complete cost estimation using Navisworks, Dynamo, or these are only for planning? So no, I think your question is a bit uh, over the place. Okay, well, Navisworks is something that you use for clash detection, coordination, 4D simulation, 5D cost estimation, and in general visualization. Right? Dynamo is a programming language that you use to automate the tasks, automate the repetitive tasks. If you want to key in a few parameters on 1,000 elements. You cannot go and key in one by one, right? You can use Dynamo, you can use a script to do it in one shot. And then planning is something that is completely different. So you can use Dynamo to link Navisworks activities to particular BIM model elements, but you can also do it nowadays using Excel. Okay. You can also do it using particular text parameters, particular digit parameters and all that. So, Vivek, I think you've asked the question again. Can you learn Synchro instead of MSP? Synchro is a collaboration platform where you can link the BIM model also and your MSP schedule also. You can create schedule also on Synchro, but I would prefer you to create a schedule on MSP and bring it in Synchro when you're working together with the BIM model. Okay. Then Dumpala's question for MEP engineers, which one can you suggest? So for MEP, for any kind of engineers or any kind of BIM related positions as a BIM modeler or as a BIM coordinator, you should know you should be aware about 4D, 5D, what are the softwares being used, how are they connected to each other. And I'm talking about 4D, I'm talking about scheduling, but how do I link it to a particular BIM model? What is it? What are the different kinds of bridge that are available to link? All right. What are the different new softwares that you're going to learn into the next session? So we will try to have more sessions like these, where we will brief you about different softwares, what's going on in the market, and what we plan to do, what we plan to teach you in the next coming cohorts in Novator. Is Revit based software for 4D, 5D, 6D, LOD 500 for modeling? I think Nisarg also, your question was also a bit all over the place. LOD is something different, and 4D, 5D, 6D is something different. Okay. Sumit has asked me a question. I have worked as a project manager role in Melbourne and familiar with using Costex and Navisworks. Moved back to India a few months back. The course interests a lot. However, moving to home grounds under research of BIM application stays less of confidence to take up the course. Any comments on BIM in India? Can be infra, commercial, residential. So, Sumit, firstly, all the best that you have made your move back to India. It's going to be difficult in the initial phase to adapt to the entire work culture here in India. And since you are more familiar with Costex, Navisworks, I think landing a job shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Secondly, when you're talking about a course, I think Novata offers a very good course that covers a lot of different topics, a lot of different softwares. We are also going to cover, we are going to do a specialization soon on 4D, 5D, which you might want to be interested to take up. We'll be covering Synchro, we'll be covering all the other softwares that I just spoke about. And my comments on BIM in India, it's going to be probably the next 10 years, 15 years, where government mandates kick in. And now, since you only see BIM on metro projects, you might be able to see BIM for residential housing. You might be able to see BIM for private sector projects as well. Okay. So for those who are interested, just fill out a form that Parija has sent on the chat. So you guys should be able to see that now. So Sayyad has asked, as a fresher, I've realized that using BIM software, deeper knowledge, continuous practice, while I can try small projects on my, I feel I need proper guidance to learn right workflows and so on. Any reliable free learning softwares or recorded sessions that I can follow. Yeah, student versions. Yeah. So I think, Sayed, another way of looking at is I don't know if you're currently working or not, but you might want to take up a small internship or a role at a BIM consultancy firm that lets you to work on real life projects and also use these tools day to day. So instead of looking for trial licenses or looking for free videos where you're actually not able to take any decision based on the data that 4D or 5D gives you, it's of no value, right? So you might want to take up some internships or a job at a BIM consultancy firm rather than a contractor or a consultant for that matter, where at a BIM consultant, you will be able to learn a lot of different softwares and manage a lot of different projects. That will be, like, I think, the best approach for you. Right. Then Anuj has asked me, what about CFD software? Where is it used? CFD stands for, I think, it's more on your simulation for the environment. Okay, your simulation of computational fluid dynamics is what you call it, I guess. So you use it for airflow analysis, you use it for sunlight, sun ray, sun path analysis as well. So that is where you use CFD software, but not more on a project management. It is more for a research base. It is more on design intervention or design changes. Those are the most used cases for CFD software. Juno has asked me, is 45D BIM more applicable to construction management teams, builders, contractors rather than design and engineering firms? I'll say both. Both of them use 45D in a different way. Design and engineering firms use 4D, 5D to visualize the entire construction progress. but builders and contractors use 4D, 5D to take informed decisions on bringing back the project on time. Because during design and engineering, the project has not kickstarted yet. The project is not getting delayed yet. But the real delay starts when it actually goes to a contractor. So, right, a lot of you I can see have asked me job related questions. You can fill up the polls, you can fill up the forms. We'll be helping you answer to your job related queries.
Yes, I think I can take that one, Prasad. For all of
Yeah,
you who's
please.
looking for what will be the job prospects after this and what will your career path look like, please fill in the forms. There are dedicated learning consultants, depending on what your background is, what your skill sets are, what you're aiming to achieve with this course, and the path that you want to take. They can assist you according to your thought process around your path, around your future prospects, because I don't think if me or Prasad answer anything, it's going to be same for everyone. So please take up a moment, fill that form, uh, uh, ask as many questions as you want from the learning consultants, and they will directly assist you with it. Yes, thanks.
All right.
All right. I think, Prasad, we are almost here. Are there any more questions that you want to answer, or should we take
I,
it up?
yeah,
Uh,
I think there's no more other questions that I see. I
okay,
think there's
perfect.
only, yeah, more
Okay.
questions on when we'll be able to learn the software.
Yes, that too. I think I'll answer a few questions here. This session, this masterclass was for you to make you aware of what 45D60 can do, why is it even a term, and how people are using it in the market. What is going to happen is with Novator, the course that we have, obviously there is a core learning to it where you learn end-to-end learning the BIM environment softwares and collab and everything. And then after that, you get a chance to pick among say several specializations we have. Get to select two of them, of which one is 45D and 60. So before you make any decision, these sessions that we have is just for your awareness purpose. So you choose what you intend to do. And there are definitely softwares like Navisworks, Synchro, Caustic Sokobi. They're going to be used in the specialization course. All the specializations that you'll get will be from 4 to 5 weeks of very intense specialized learning, and that's how you will learn these things. There are more, definitely more masterclasses are going to come around the topics that we feel is absolutely necessary for the industry. What are the future trends going on? And we will keep on posting more of these online. So please keep your eyes open, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. It was a big, big group today. I think thank you so much, Prasad, for such a nice session. I think we all got a very good understanding of why we need to manage such things, because as a designer or as an engineer, we always look at the doing of designing, and the digital platform can only help you design and model things, but how they can actually be used in the execution purpose, that is amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for today's session. We hope we get more and more such sessions from you, and thank you everyone for coming today. And yes, good night
Yep.
to everyone who's in India, and for everybody outside. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
everyone. Bye
See
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.